which is where the
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member. Her time has expired.
Societal good.
I call Todd McLeay.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. It gives me pleasure to rise and speak on this bill, the Gambling Harm Reduction Amendment Bill. Can I say to the mover of this bill, Mr. Flavel, that this is a very good piece of legislation. I want to commend him for the hard work he's put into drawing it up, but for the diligence he's shown over more of a year since it came out of the ballot in working this through and getting it on the table for us here today to consider. Can I say to the last speaker, that was one of the worst speeches I've heard in this House from Mr. Prasad. And can I say to you that, Mr. Speaker, they haven't done... It was Mrs. Dyson? Oh, they sounded the same from where I was sitting. Can I say, though, as we come to what's a very important piece of legislation, that I know Mr. Flavel has worked very hard in our community, and I say our community because we are elected members of Parliament from an area of the Bay of Plenty where our electorates overlap each other. He for Wairaki, mine for Rotorua. And over the last couple of years as elected MPs, the only two elected constituent MPs in that part of the Bay of Plenty, I know that he's worked very hard consulting with his community, as I have. Mr. Speaker, gambling can do great harm in our communities, in fact in New Zealand. At the same time, there are people who gamble and do so through enjoyment and for whom it does no harm at all. I believe that his piece of legislation focuses on creating rules for people in a local environment and giving local authorities some tools, some powers to decide for themselves to a greater degree what types of rules they would like and what sorts of controls they would like in the area of their competence. And I would say to him that last year I consulted fairly widely by writing to people through advertising and asking constituents from the Rotorua electorate, from Kawanau, from Murupara, from the Tipoki area, to tell me what they thought about this. And the vast majority of people who responded to the survey, and there were some thousands, were in favour of greater control around pokie machines that are used. And so I support him in his endeavours and in this legislation. Mr. Flavel raised the issue of Kawanau, a great little town that he and I share as members of Parliament. And can I say that, as with many small parts of New Zealand, whilst they face some challenges, it's a community of people who care about themselves and they care about others. But in Kawanau there are a number of machines there. I've had long-going... I got a lot more support in Kawanau than you did, Mr. Prasad. But there would be a reason. There would be a reason for that, and that's because you're yet to win an election. Good luck in the future. I think you can't. But anyway, let me continue. What I would say about Kawanau is that I've had ongoing discussions with the mayor there, who said that they're not necessarily against poker machines. They do believe they can do some harm, but the Mayor of Kawanau and his councillors would like greater control themselves. More than that, he said, there is significant amounts of money that go through the machines in Kawanau. There is some money that stays in the community. A little while ago, some of the proceeds were used to fix up and rebuild the BMX track, because one of New Zealand's best BMX riders, Sarah Walker, comes from Kawanau. And that's a great thing and an excellent thing for the community. Actually, Mr. Speaker, that would not have been done without the funding that comes back from some of these pokie trusts. But the Mayor of Kawanau, Mr. Campbell, has said to me he believes that if pokies are to stay there, more of that money should be spent in that community. And so I agree with him in that, and this piece of legislation at least starts a debate around what should happen there. Can I say, Mr. Speaker, that Rotorua, whilst it's a fantastic place to visit, and there's not a single member of this House that would disagree with me, we have another name, and it's occasionally called Rotovegas. Now, some years ago, that was because it was said that there were a lot of pokie machines there. Actually, if you visited Vegas in America, gambling's a small part of it. It's because you can have so much fun there, and that's what's great about Rotorua, so much fun. But we do have machines there, and there's an ongoing wide debate about this. I want to make one...
I'm sorry to interrupt the honourable member. The time has come for me to leave the chair. This debate is interrupted and set down for resumption next sitting day. The House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.